Hello, everyone. Here we are. We made it. So would you say that we had some technical difficulties? Yeah.
Yes, I would say.
Someone needs to upgrade their laptop. It, it's funny. Like during the live stream, the one that Shannon had, my laptop decided that it was a perfect time to update Norton. and
And that takes a while.
everything stopped working. Yeah, it was just kind of like, what the hell? The whole thing just like crapped out on me, and I could hear them. They were like, "Well, I guess he's gone." Like, I had to be back. So it's 8 o'clock your time, or a little bit after 8, and you got
Yep.
your libations. For me, it's I'm day drinking. I'm day drinking for you.
Oh, thank you. Well, it is Sunday, so.
Yeah, it is Sunday, and it's not like I'm going anywhere. And as far as that storm that we got, it wasn't too bad. Uh, it was probably much worse for others on the coast than it was for me. So we got the Blues Bro, and then we got Legenda Arctique. He shows up.
Yeah.
I
Well, we
know.
finally picked
Cool.
a decent time, so maybe he can, stick around for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking we're probably on for maybe a couple hours, or we'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah. I'm thinking 2 hours. I'd like to kind of wrap it up about 10 for me. You know.
So that's the answer for our Jedi friend there. Um, and I don't know. I just put up a video. It was a real short and stupid video, as I usually put up. I picked up something off of eBay, and I wanted to show you.
Oh, it's a weathered commando.
Yeah,
That looks really
and
good.
yeah, um, it's the newer one, the from the latest run, and
So
Dremel.
it's
That's
actually
what I was
smooth.
trying to come up with in my video. I didn't have to Dremel a thing.
Okay, cool.
It's
That's
like,
good to know because when I got my first one, it was you have the original one too, and it was really
yeah.
bad.
And when I dremeled it, I don't know, I didn't do a very good job dremeling because this is my first attempt. And then I tried to weather it, and I
It takes
I
some
feel like I ruined it. I just feel like I ruined it. And then I wanted to get one with the weathered finish. I think if I buy Ecos from now on, I'm just gonna get the weathered finish because that's my jam. And
yeah.
it has the new soundboard, and it performs really well. The one of the weird things was the switch was really recessed. You know that issue that you have with your
The
flight, your
flight
fallen flight, with the switch really
flight, yeah.
recessed? Well, like it was really deep where you had to really stick your finger in there. Yeah, it was exactly like that. And that's my I don't know if you taken that apart,
The
because
fallen flight, no.
I decided to take mine apart, and for some reason underneath each screw they had a metal washer, and the metal washer was about 2 millimeters thick,
Thick.
and it was
Hmm.
keeping the switch and the recharge port from blowing up. So I removed those, and now it's normal depth. It was just a strange thing, but it was definitely done by Saberforge. But I love this thing. This thing is great. This is a
It looks
vast
good.
improvement. So yeah, they do such a
Yeah.
good job with with those things, with the ecos. And let me see. Do, 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 do.
I like that quote there, Artique. That's funny. A surprise to be sure.
This one.
Hmm.
I I was playing around with his Revan font, Artique's Jet Revan font. I put on my Xenopixel, and it works really well. I also have Kyberphonics prodigal. See, Jedi Arctique calls this prodigal knight, and I put the prodigal butcher on as well, since it's a Revan note. It's really easy to put sound faults on that thing. Which
Yeah,
leads us
it's
into
like
one of
anything
the
else where you just kind of click and drag your stuff in there. Or
Yeah, you just have to rename things. Each one has numbered. Each file gets numbered in parentheses, and obviously, I can't take all of the. Why are you selling yours, Cody?
Yeah, that's a good question. If you love it, why part with it unless you're saving up for something else?
I mean, I get that, but everyone always gives away or sells their saber. I mean, I actually gave away a saber to someone at work this week, and it made me feel really good to do it. But
Spreading a little joy in everyone's life.
yeah. But every once in a while, I see someone like, Zach always sells hilts that he loves. It's literally, he'll get one and it'll be like the bestest thing that he's ever, had in his collection. Then, 6 months later, he's selling it. He's like writing to me, "Do you want to buy it off of me?" And it's just like, I don't have any money. Otherwise, I would. But a lot of
like I guessed, yeah, he's selling it to work towards a bigger, better saber.
Yeah, well, everyone's kind of going that route. I saw on Instagram, who was it, Darth Koopa? Everyone's probably familiar with Darth Koopa. He says that he's about quality, not quantity. So a lot of people they do that. They get the more expensive hills that they invest and have custom installed and have all kinds of things done to make them really bougie. I mean, eventually I'll go that route, but other than not buying as many hilts just due to lack of money, I can't do anywhere between $500 and $800 for a hilt. It's just
yeah, I'm actually trying to downsize myself. Just other priorities, and plus for me, like when I get a really good one, I want to keep that and hold on to it. But there are some that I get and I just don't really touch anymore. And they're not on any kind of display. So I figure, why am I holding on to this? I mean, I like it. I like different sabers for the content of my channel, and I like experiencing them. It's kind of like a rental car. I like getting in the car, driving, experiencing it, but I don't want to have it as my daily vehicle every day. So for me, I'm trying to downsize a bit of mine and get some money back, and also use that towards fueling other sabers that I would like to see, like the Bad X.
Yeah, definitely. that thing's the elusive unicorn that one of these days.
One of these days, pow!
You'll be like,
hey, MP.
You just have to live long enough to and then the maker has to live long enough, and everyone has to, get to the point where that thing will become available. I definitely, I'm jonesing to get one of those. The thing that kind of like Rob at Genesis Custom Sabers, he keeps releasing these really gorgeous hilts, but they're like $4,000, and you have to you actually have to auction to get the right to even purchase it, and it's kind of like, oh my word.
Yeah. And for me, like, I think it's like sabers are great, but I just don't see myself ever paying 4 figures for a lightsaber. When you think about how fragile they really are on the inside, and the electronics and things, it's just like there's a lot of things. Like, for instance, like a Saber Trio offering versus like some other installer who will do the same type of soundboard, and you have racks up like $2,000, or $1,300 to $2,000, and to me that's crazy. Unless you have, like, when I see some of those full metal chassis with all the accent crystal stuff and like a rotating crystal chamber, no, that I understand, because there's a lot involved with that.
You open up the saber and it's like this clockwork of LEDs.
And it looks and you're like real, like it looks legit. And I've also seen guys that have these, like my friend, his hilt, he has a Luke hilt, and that one has like a 24 karat gold crystal chamber. So obviously that increases the value. But for me, I don't really feel the need to have that in a saber, because I mean, I don't know. To me, I don't see the point, but I can understand how others might really value that.
It has like the crystal in there. It came from the crown jewel collection from England. You know, someone broke into
From Her
the
Majesty's
one,
jewelry.
and they ran out. They got shot. It's like I got the crystal for the. It's the wrong color. Crap.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I have
boy.
my LGT cores on standby. I know which one has the Proffie and which one has. I have 4. I've got the Golden Harvest. I have a Xenopixel. Actually, I have the original Xenopixel before your edition, and then I have 2 Proffies, but I'm not sure. May have to just crack it open and see which one is the Xeno. I think it's in my Antares here.
I just have a Xeno, the one that I just got, and
yes, this
my
is
Proffie.
so. This is the original Xeno right here, and now because it looks similar to a Proffie, but you can tell that it's not. And then yours is like the long board, so it looks like the standard board, but it's Xenopixel.
So this is what that's
Yeah,
mine.
the long board. Yeah, yeah. So they do look different, but mine is the first version of it, and this one came from Crimson Dawn. But well, they all came from the same place, but I ordered mine through Crimson Dawn. So my Antares has first gen Xeno, which means that these 2 are Proffie cores, and this is the Golden Harvest core. So I think we've got the full gambit of LGT cores to talk about.
What I find interesting about all these cores is that a lot of times, depending on who you buy them from, sort of dictates to a certain degree what sound fonts come equipped on them. Generally, they have the same arrangement, but occasionally you'll have some subtle,
like that Dark Wolf sound font. You know, that came on my Golden Harvest, but of course Crimson Dawn's not going to have that font because it's not.
Yeah, shout out to Phoenix Saber Fonts for that. He's the one that produced that.
And I'm sure you have it on your Xeno. I like it. I think it's a pretty cool font.
I have it on my I have it on secular. And wait a minute, do I? Is it on this one? I think it's on this one. Yeah, because I have a regular Crimson Dawn Proffie on my Acolyte, which I don't have here, but secular has the Dark Wolf version, and it has the Dark Wolf sound font. What I like is I have the soundboard. The Xenopixel that I got for this came from
Ooh, frozen.
From
here we go.
And it has a Revan sound font on here. It's not the Kyberphonic one, but now I have 3 on here because I'm just kind of loading it up, which is nice. It's nice to be able to edit it. It's easy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I was able to do with this was I went in here and I was able to turn off some of the gesture controls, because right now,
you kind of struggled a little bit in the video.
What's that?
I said you struggled a little bit in the video. Some of your motions were activating the turn off, which is the power off, which is what you don't want.
What it has is it has a stab, it has a twist. The twist is really sensitive, but it works really well.
Yeah, it is.
Swing, like if you swing it, it would turn off and on. I don't understand the point of that. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I just have this one. But it's really nice. The some of the features I really like about this is the volume. When you have volume high and volume low, there's a substantial difference. It's literally, it goes from extremely loud, and you can go into the board, you can adjust the overall loudness. And when you're on the, for instance, see how much lower that is?
Yeah,
you can hear it. It's basically like you can have this on low, and it's not going to disturb anybody at all. It's really a nice adjustment. plus I like how you can adjust the different blade effects and the different, like, kind of, I guess you call them sub blade effects. Like you can have pulse or whatever all the different varieties are, and then you can have, like, for instance, this is I think this is called like the warp ignition or something like that. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but kind of like meets in the middle. I'm always kind of a big fan of that. So and then it came with 34 sound fonts. They really kind of like outdid themselves with this thing.
So, and I'm curious what you think here. Let me scroll up and see who said it. No. Oh, it was MP Sabers, and he said he thinks he prefers the original Xeno, but the new one is really nice too. And I have the original Xeno like him, but I see you have the new. Now, I was fully impressed by when the Xeno first was released in my little Darth Maul video that I was doing with the two shades together. And that was a pleasant surprise. But you having experience with the new Xeno, for instance, like the original doesn't have the gesture control like yours does. But you just got in commenting that it's really sensitive, which I guess is kind of cool if you're really into that, because sometimes I feel like the original gesture controls didn't really respond very well to a point where it's like, well, what's the point? So I never even bothered trying to do that. But maybe they went a little too far the other way to that it's just too, sensitive. I don't know.
But there's sensitivity controls in there too.
So you can adjust that. Okay.
Yeah. And you can have all the gesture controls either on or off, and you can adjust the sensitivity. The one thing that I noticed is I have a 32-inch blade in here. There's no adjustment for the number of pixels.
So you can't extend or shorten the.
Yeah, I haven't been able to get the.
Which sucks because for us, we prefer 32, but those cores come set for a 36-inch blade, which means that we don't get to fully realize the tip drag and the melt and stuff.
Yeah, that's the, like, I can hear it, but it doesn't kick off. And I look everywhere in the menu, and also like in the individual. I'm sorry if I'm ignoring the comments. I'm thinking about, like, inside each of the individual folders where the sound fonts are. There's a configuration file, but I can't open the configuration file. It doesn't. I'm not sure. It's not just like a normal WordPad thing, like you find with everything. It's not just a text file.
Yeah. Well, I think because the original Xeno was modeled after the Proffie. So maybe it's a program thing, and that's why it looks different. Because CFX, you just have the config file, and you see all the, all the information, and you can just change your number or whatever, and you're good to go. But I know Proffie doesn't work that way, so maybe that's why the Xenopixel, you haven't found it, because it's modeled more after Proffie, which you and I are not proficient in. I don't speak Proffie.
Yeah. But it's definitely it's completely its own different thing. Like if you go into, there's only one other folder other than the fonts, and it's called a set folder. It's kind of like, and inside the set folder there's all the different, like, menu waves, for like the preons for different blade effects and things like that. It's just basically like all the non-font related stuff. All the sounds are in there. And then there's a configuration file in there, which is what allows you to adjust a lot of the customize a lot of features, but not everything. And it's rather limited. One thing that is cool is you can go in there and you can put in your own blade your own color presets for the blades. So if you want an indigo, you can go in there and program an indigo with this clash, and that's a really nice touch. So I see that where they were going there. My impression of the Xenopixel is that it's kind of very much like the LG4s. The menus and the functionality are very similar, and it just kind of like has elements that you would find on the Proffie board, and they just kind of incorporated it into their own design, because I find it's a completely unique, simplified system. specific to Xenopixel, and it's very unique. But it's very, very easy to use. It's like I haven't had to refer to the manual at all. Like, those little things like, let's see.
Hey Tim, thanks for joining us.
No, never mind. I'm doing it wrong, but there's like you can put your background music into the individual little folders and everything. And
Speaking of background music, I'm really not a fan of playing music while I'm doing my I mean, I load some tracks on some of my stuff, but I find I get bored. I don't really like using them. I get bored with them pretty quickly, and I just don't really, yeah.
I have one, just one.
And even then, the music kind of like overpowers some of the swinging sounds. I think the Vader hallway is the one that I use the most. Outside of that, I don't really play music when I swing my saber.
For me, it's I just whenever I whip out my Qui-Gons, I gotta play Duel of the Fates.
Like a bantha.
I'm playing Darth Maul the whole time, and then I get the chest pains from getting stabbed because I suck. Yeah, but that's okay. Obi-Wan's gonna avenge me. Nah, seriously, that's the only one. That's the only one. The rest of them were just like, man, they're just, I don't know, gimmicks.
Okay, so some folks are looking for us to drop some knowledge, and yes, I do agree that I like the ignitions and some of the power rounds for the new Xeno. That's really awesome. I mean, they really did just kind of model it off of a Proffie. You just don't get the same customizations like Proffie does.
Well, it's not open source.
Yeah, and actually, from what I understand, maybe you cannot adjust the Xenopixel because I remember when I got my first gen Xeno, it said that it does all the things Proffie does. You just cannot make any changes or customize it. So, other than changing fonts, so maybe that's why you can't adjust the blade length. But I think it could still be like the programming thing. I don't know.
I'm fine with it. The amount of money that I spent on it, like it's a nice little package. I mean, I feel like this LGT, Revan.
And I don't miss melt and tip tracks. I don't really use them that much anyway when I'm swinging my saber.
I don't either.
Only time I use those is if I'm doing a demo for a video. Other than that, I'm not using it for my own personal use.
And the stab works just fine now that I turned off the. No, it's really. I definitely would like to pick up a few more of the Xenopixels, but I'd like to get one from like each of the major companies just to see like the differences.
The different configurations, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I find that the thing is like the whole LGT thing has become kind of like the predominant sort of system for those of us that don't have like a bunch of cash to plunk down on on a lot of different really high-end sabers. And I think that other than the occasional costs of some of the hilts that we see, like the Knight, $500 is a bit of it's a lot of money to
and it's a good looking saber, but I just can't see myself spending that for that. I'll be honest, I just don't think any hilt from LGT should cost more than $300. That's just in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah. And now they're getting to a point where like they're charging more than like Saberforge, like an apprentice hilt. They're charging as much as Saber Trio. And let's face it, they're in two different ball games. I mean, a Saber Trio is far better quality than any LGT hilt will ever be.
When you look at an LGT hilt and you think, wow, that's really cool. And then you look at the price and you go,
and I'm like, not really. Not that cool.
I'll buy the Corbanth version. And like, I know like my Qui-Gold, I hate, I'd much rather have my Qui-Gold with the installed CFX, than a core.
Yeah.
because they did a really
And I'll admit, like the cores have gotten better, but someone had commented above. I think it was MP or Commander Dale. One of those two said that there's no quality control, which he's correct. Like they don't. Like LGT does not. They just assembly line their stuff and they ship it out to their drops to their resellers. What the resellers should be doing is testing those cores and those sabers before they ship them out to the customer. And they're not doing that because I've gotten a few cores that have failed almost instantly as soon as I unboxed it, you know, and that's not a fault of shipping. I think that was just an error off of the line before they packaged it up. And I just wish that they would incorporate that. These resellers would incorporate some type of testing or quality control to say, just fire it up, spin it, make sure it works. If it's good, then go ahead and put it in the, you know, in the box and ship it off.
Well, let me put it to you. I mean, we are talking about Chinese production practices. I mean, they do have it's a different culture. I know that where I work now, you know, that we've been having issues with quality control, but that's due to logistical concerns and staffing but you know, we have a very small staff where we work, and so we're trying to work out like a number of issues to try to keep the quality up, you know. And it's an uphill battle. In China, I think that they're not for want of any, you know, I think they have plenty of people working, but I think it's just from a logistical standpoint, they're geared towards, you know, getting as much product out. And I don't think they're intentionally putting out bad product, but you know, when you get a box full of chips and you're inserting chipsets and you're just putting everything together and you turn it on, you test it, it works, then it goes out. That's not going to detect that one chip in there that has an inherent flaw, like maybe it has a crack in it, or maybe it wasn't, you know, constructed completely, you know. Mass production generally, when you're producing things with haste, you know, you get things that will have this tendency to have a short lifespan. And I mean, that's been the reputation of Chinese products for years. I mean, they're innovative.
But I also think, but it's also the time frame too. I also think that LGT has done one thing that kind of hurt the saber community, and that is giving false expectation as to how quickly you should have a saber. You and I, we're accustomed to waiting 3-4 months for a saber. Sure, it's brutal, but it's somewhat realistic. Now, I think something like Vader's Vault, where you're waiting a year, I think that's a bit outlandish. But with LGT stuff and these resellers, you click order, and within 2 days you'll see a shipment notification, and you get that thing right away. And so I think people have this expectation that all sabers should come that fast. And let's face it, when it's coming that quickly, you're not really getting. I just don't think the quality is quite there. And when I look at LGT, I mean, even let's say they take Saberforge, their eco hilts, those are 2 to 4 weeks before they'll ship those, and those come with the you know, the LGT cores now. But look at the quality of the hilt that comes from an eco saber from Saberforge, and look at, you know, the basic model of an LGT hilt. Now their higher end hilts I think are okay, but when you go for like something like the Shade or some of those lower end hilts, they look really cheap, you know, and they feel cheap too. And I just don't see how. I just don't believe in spending more than $300 for that. And I paid $170 for the Golden Harvest core that's in here, which I thought was a bit steep. It is nice, I'll admit that. But when you combine that on top of the price of your hilt, now you're, and that's why I did just the core itself, because I can afford, you know, 170 in a single, you know, transaction, but I don't want to spend 400 in a single transaction for that core and then get a hilt that I don't really care about. And then when you go for the cannon hilts, man, are those expensive, you know, $500 range. And they're not even screen accurate and not even like that great looking. They look good, but they're not great looking like some of the other companies.
But then every once in a while you find an outlier, like, you know, Potter sabers. They have a Revan Jedi hilt, and I think it's either an LGT or TH. What's the other company? THX, whatever.
TXQ.
TXQ, yeah. And he actually installed that, with a chassis and a Golden Harvest. That's an install. And neopixel, and it's like 350. And I've been looking at that now. I could probably find the money for that, and I've been wanting to get a Jedi to go with my Sith, and it'd be a good match for this thing. And I'm pretty sure that he did a really good job on the install. He has pictures of everything; it looks great. But the problem is my other hilt from Potter Sabers is thoroughly lost in the system somewhere. I'm kind of wondering if it might have been on a train that got like ransacked. But the post office doesn't know where that is, and I'm having a search done for it. I really want to get that hilt so I can kind of, see what kind of work he does, at least on the weathering and whatnot. But it's unfortunate.
And the weathering looks good from the photos,
Yeah, it's just a shame that when you try to order a hilt from a new vendor, a new saber producer, and that happens. It's not his fault, but I'm just kind of like, come on, post office, just send me anything. They might have to give me everything else.
So there are a few people commenting that they haven't had any issues with LGT. I have quite a few LGT sabers myself, and honestly, some are the ones that I get that are great, but I've had more than a few stop working, and I've had problems with them, and a couple of them right out of the box. I actually got a Proffie core from Crimson Dawn. I need to send it back, but the little silver holding or casing that holds the SD card in place, that broke off and came detached, and I never pulled the SD card out. It just, I will remove the battery to charge it, and then it just came off. And so now that doesn't work at all because it can't house or seat the SD card, which is really frustrating and annoying. So it's just sitting on my back work table, but waiting for me to contact Crimson Dawn to get a replacement. But I've had several not work for me, and it's really unfortunate.
I've had about 2 or 3 of the older boards crap out on me. I had one that I had.
The older boards are terrible. I've had all. I think none of them are working now.
And I've also I have three 2-inch neopixel blades from Dark Wolf, and they all just crapped out. What happens is I don't know if you can hear it, but you can't really hear it because it's not so bad on their blades.
Oh, the LEDs are rattling in there.
But the LEDs they move inside the hilt, and I think that just after a while it just jars the connections loose, and then they just stop working, and I have no way to fix them. So when you have 3 $70 blades, it's like $210 worth of lightsaber blades, and you can't use, and you have to replace them.
Yeah, that sucks.
It leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and that's a lot of comments.
Yeah, so let's kind of work our way up the gambit on these boards. And obviously, I think if we had to rank them as far as price goes, the top tier is the Golden Harvest because that costs more than the Proffie now. Proffie, Xenopixel, and then the standard Eco Smooth Swing board. As far as quality goes, I think the Golden Harvest core is very nice. I was actually really impressed by that, and it has the LEDs built into the NeoPixel connector, which is really cool.
Wow, that is cool.
Yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised by that, and I think there's 9 of them. Yeah, it's like 9 all the way around with a 7-pin connector. So I thought that was cool. Now I think with the NeoPixel, the price difference between the Xeno and the Proffie isn't that big. It's like what, $20 or $30 difference, something like that. And I would think it would be it should be a more affordable option against the Proffie. That's my guess, but I don't think that's not how they do it. When I look at Dark Wolf or something like that, usually the Xenopixels maybe $20 or $30 less than the Proffie. And in the comments, if you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the case. But the Eco Smooth Swing is the most affordable, and I think that's worth the price you pay. Because I mean, the Eagle Smooth Swing, I think is satisfying. I think it checks all the boxes, though it's not, special, but I think it checks all the boxes, and I'm satisfied with the Eagle Smooth.
Yeah, I definitely, as far as a lot of different sellers when they sell their hilts, I don't really like. I like the base price to include the basic core with the smooth swing. I don't like when they give you a price and then to add the each that core. I mean, I understand upgrading to the Golden Harvest and the Proffie and the Xenopixel and the price add-on for that, but whatever base price you have needs to include a core. And I've seen a few companies that they'll sell a hilt and then they'll say, well, you'll have to get the core and that adds on like X number of dollars. And it's just sort of like, I don't like that. But when you get a good deal, like this through Outer Rim was 140 with the basic core, which was the best price I had seen from any place. I mean, I've seen
that's more than reasonable, I think. I think I paid 150. Well, actually, I paid 150 for my Proffie course when they came out, but I think they cost more now.
And it came.
But that was like almost 2 years ago.
And and I think that's if that's a good place to start. And then if you want to upgrade at some point, then you have the luxury to do it. I personally, I think the price for the Golden Harvest is high, but I definitely think it's
very high. Yeah,
it's the most superior option as far as like convenience, being able to like customize it, and the number of features that you get. I still don't have a Golden Harvest neopixel, so but as far as
yours are only yours are in hilt. All of yours are in hilt. Okay.
Yeah,
because you have two. No, you have 3 Golden Harvest sabers now, right? Or 2?
I have 3, and they're all in hilt.
Okay. The Progeny, your not Defiant, or the one, the Dakota looking one. What was that called? Dissident. Okay, that's 2. What's the third one?
Well, that's the Katana one that came with that like really, really crappy install. It works.
Yeah,
it works fine. That saber actually, once I upgraded the speaker, that thing's insanely loud, and it's just that the person did, they installed it themselves, and they just kind of like wired it and threw everything in there with a bunch of tape, and I just haven't. It works. I rewired some things. Had some, it's good. It's just I haven't really felt like dealing with reviewing it yet. But anyway, yeah. So really, what I think it comes down to is the difference between Proffie and the Xenopixel, and I definitely think Proffie is the superior board.
Yeah.
Over Xenopixel, but Xenopixel has the customization option over us. People like ourselves who just
it's less intimidating, I think.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed all these like comments. I'm not.
Yeah, I've been reading through them here. I agree with MP Sabers. The Flight is still my favorite baselet too, especially for the price. Like I got my Blazing Red Flight when it first came out on Black Friday 2 years ago or last year, and that was $99. And what that board does is really impressive for the price. I still say it's the best budget lightsaber you can get. LGT was moving up there for me, but then when they started increasing their prices and things, then to me, they're not really budget anymore. And even then, if you take just the Eagle Smooth Swing board, yes, that is budget, but what it offers you doesn't match what the Flight can do. So I would still put my full recommendation behind the Flight. But of course, they're always difficult to come by because they do limited runs, and when they come out, they sell out very quickly. And the hilt is just not. If you do the basic Flight, the hilt is not flattering at all. LGT has far better, more flattering hilts on their baseline. And then they've got the Qui-Gon version or the Flight Q, and they got the Fallen Flight, which are both nice sabers too. But that's the only options you get. But the flight board itself, I wish they would do something more like LGT, where they really expanded more on the flight board and gave that option to more hilts.
Yeah, the patch stores, are far more, it's a limited sort of system to deal with. They're not going to be mass producing all that stuff. If I could get myself the Qui-Gon with the flight, I'd probably sell the flight that I have because, like you said, it's kind of an unflattering thing, and I put a nice wrap on it, so I could probably make decent amount of money back on that thing once I reinstall the original sound fonts. I've got everything's like custom now, but it's like it's a really easy saber to customize. But me and the Qui-Gons.
Yeah, that's your jam.
Those and Revens and Kodas for some reason
it's just funny because none of those hilts are really flattering to me, and so I have no desire to
for me
to
it's
get
ease
one.
of use.
Yeah, because they are very practical. To me, if you what would you really actually take into a fight and have in your hand, and those make the most sense.
For me, it would probably be my as far as like if I often fantasize, you and I being Star Trek fans, and I think I brought this up probably on several live streams, but you remember the original episode of Star Trek where the little red, round, blurry, swirly creature got onto the Enterprise and locked half the crew down in the secondary hull, and it was like
and made them all fight each other. Yeah,
he turned all the weapons into swords, and every time someone got killed,
and it was fueling after of everyone's anger against each other. Yeah, that was when the Klingons were in there and trying to take over the Enterprise.
And then that whole episode ends with a wonderful scene with the Klingon of the Federation telling the alien backslap. I could picture you and I, I could picture you as the Klingon, or whatever, and having us, come to that conclusion, and,
That's funny. That's a good analogy.
Wonderful episode. So I kind of picture, and it's like a fantasy in my mind, whatever saber you held last, if there's some kind of weird sort of space-time miracle, like something in the ebb and flow of the space-time continuum altered, and whatever saber you wielded last actually became an actual functioning lightsaber, I would kind of hope for my purpose that it would be my Revan sabers, my Paradigm, because that's a Coda. And the surface of that thing, there's nothing impeding. It has good grip, good weight, good balance. The thing's pretty much perfect, and that's what I would do. And no one would be in a rush to steal it from me because it's although it's beautiful, it's not what everyone else is looking for a saber.
Well, people with all the OBN, people like the flashy, and the ones that are most practical aren't the most flashy because they're practical. I don't. Oh, here it is.
I see people.
The elegant weapons like this is very practical to take into battle. I think when I hold this thing, it feels so good. I need to do the review on this here soon. But this is something that I would dedefinitely want to take into battle. But it's not flashy. The only flashiness you get is the emitter.
It has that. Yeah, hold that up for a minute. I want to compare that to this. The emitter,
go that way. Yep.
Turn it
so I can get that right. There.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really it's got it going on there.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice, yeah.
Yeah, this is just more slanted. That's all.
I like the geometry of that. It kind of has a little bit of the various and sundry effects of the Dark Storm, the one that Jedi Phoenix is always showing off, the one he got from from Sabermock. Very, very practical design, very aesthetically pleasing, just like in the hand. Just it doesn't have any hindrances.
General Dude asked us the question, and I think it's a very good question because you and I both know where we stand on this one, and that is thoughts on the Nano Biscotti V4.
I love
board.
the MV4.
I like NBV4. Yeah, I'm not sure how old it is. Is it going on 10 years old now? I don't know, but I still think that board, as simple as it is, still stands the test of time. I like the Nano Biscotti V4 board very much, even though it only holds 3 fonts and there's no smooth swing, but it's so responsive to the point where you almost don't miss the smooth swing. It has actually no effects, not even blaster deflection, just your flash on clash if you have that. Nothing. But you know what? I'm good with it though. I like it. Very easy to install too.
And you can adjust the sensitivity settings and just like really dial it into your personal taste. And my conspirator, my JQ Sabers conspirator, one of my all-time favorite sabers. In fact, we were just talking about sabers that if this was to be a go-to, that would probably be another one of my definite choices. But you can swing that thing around, and it responds so quickly.
Every swing, it's on point with you.
And you can, if you have it set for RGB, you can adjust the different values for the blade settings. It has 6 blade settings for each of the sound fonts, but I like that. I'm not really a big color changing guy. In fact, on my
I use the same colors almost as sabers anyway. I'm yellow, red, and blue, anything and purple. Anything else, I just whatever.
With my RVJ, with the Asteria board, when you install a sound font, the configuration file has all of the different color choices. If you eliminate all the ones you don't want and just have one bank in the color that you want, that avoids the random color changing, because that saber, I find, the Asteria board will just randomly change colors on you with gestures, and
I've never had that problem, but I don't have any Asteria boards left. I sold mine, and
I've always had an issue with it, and so I
sold mine because at the time that I got it, they didn't have accent swings, and then shortly after I sold mine, and then they did the 2.5 or whatever, and then they started doing the accent swings. So.
I put Kyberphonics Prodigal Butcher on my RVS, and it's nice. It's really nice.
You remember this saber? This is Blue 4 Sabers. And this has the Nano Biscotti V4, and I still like it. I've been trying to sell the saber, but I can never bring myself to actually do it. I like the saber.
Don't do it. This saber is why you and I became
but connect
friends.
This brought us together.
It literally is. I mean, and that was years ago,
But what's interesting is I have not powered this thing on since I first moved here, and that was 3 months ago. No, June, July, August, September, November, 7 months ago, and I just powered it up, and it still has juice in it. That's awesome. And
mine doesn't. Mine doesn't have any power.
It's so responsive. I like the saber. I like this soundboard. I just think Nano Biscotti V4 is great. And I'm still happy with it to this day. It just feels good to swing it. For not having a smooth swing, it's so responsive. It catches every movement.
I'll go one further. I have several sabers with a Nano Biscotti V3, and I love the V3 just as much. I have something like 3 or 4 health with the V3. You can make the same adjustments that you make on the V4. Only holds 2 sound fonts. Other than that, it's identical. The performance, the responsiveness. I actually did a video comparing I don't know if it was like a comparison of the Nano Biscotti V2 V3 and V4, or if I was just talking about my favorite soundboards. If you want to see how that soundboard performs, I have so many sabers I'd love to put at Nano Biscotti V4s in.
Mm-hmm. I have a lone board floating around that I need to install in another saber. Actually, I was going to put it in that Gen 3 Eco Aggressor. I was going to put it in that one.
Is that the one that your wife gets? Is that her?
No, she got my old Stalwart.
Oh, okay.
And I put a Verso on that one.
What's everyone think of the Verso?
Nano Biscotti is made by Plector Labs. So the same people that make Crystal Focus 10 also made Nano Biscotti.
You're asking. Oh, okay. Because the thing is, it's like I see whenever I see a saber for sale and it has a Verso board in it, they always jack the price up because it's a Verso board, but it's like an economy board and it's not really that
it's an entry level board. I think it's a great board, but I think Cal just released his version 2 of the board, and maybe that's why people are hiking the price up, because the first one, the firmware was updated because there was only one font, no blaster deflection, no extra features or effects, and then he did an update where you can hold, I think now 5 fonts, and you get the blaster deflection and all that extra stuff in there too. So the Verso board is very good, but the price of the board itself, like for instance, the Verso board, I think was, I'm not sure about now, but it was going for, I think $40 or $42, something like that. Whereas the first Harvest board was going for $40, but the Verso gives you way more stuff than the first Harvest does. First Harvest doesn't support neopixel. It doesn't have some of all the extra effects that Verso does, and Verso is customizable, whereas First Harvest is not. But they're roughly about the same price. So I think the Verso is a very good board. I've actually done a few installs of Versos. Like my wife's is a Verso board. Those 2 install videos that I did for Christmas gifts were Versos. I mean, good board. My SID 2.0, I put a Verso on that to start, and then I swapped it out for CFX.
I just don't think it's jacking the price by a couple $100 because one's installed. I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, the install, that's different. I mean, people vary what they charge for something.
Yeah.
But think of it this way: if they charge you $100-some to install a Verso, how's it any different than paying $140 for a core for an LGT hilt?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you want to spend the second hour of our live stream talking about Book of Boba Fett, or is that a bit of a stretch and it's been done too much?
Well, we've never talked about it, so I don't think there's really much to talk about, but we can bring up the topic for sure.
Well, I mean, without
let me take 30 seconds to go to the loo, and then we'll start that. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, has everyone caught up on Book of Boba Fett? And am I assuming that there's no outliers that haven't seen the most recent episode? Yay or nay? Okay. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, okay, that's good. Because a lot of people have been complaining about the fact that it's the worst Book of Boba Fett episode, but the best Mandalorian episode, and I have to agree with that. But where Star Wars is concerned, as far as complaining about what we're getting at this point, I just don't think it's the overall Star Wars. Anything that's on Disney right now could be wretched. It could be horrible. That's not what we're getting. So if you do get like a little bit of an oddity, like you don't like the flashbacks. Well, I mean, yes, it was a spoiler. It was a story mechanism to try to get the timelines to sync up. And for the most part, I don't think it was overdone, and it didn't really bother me too much. I think a lot of people I don't know. I don't want to be like, I don't want to offend anybody, but I think a lot of people are like really, really too sensitive about the nature of these things. I mean, there are really, really catastrophically stupid things that get done, and then on like take the movie The Eternals, for instance. I think that movie was a dumpster fire. I at no point was I interested in that movie when I was watching it. It was just like it was so poorly done, in my opinion. There was no story. There was no like none of the actors seemed like they were convinced of what they were participating. I couldn't finish that movie. But then like Shang-Chi was a work of art. And I think a lot of times, things like that occur in something like Star Wars that you can really, really bring up. But for the minor things, I think we need to be a little bit more forgiving just by virtue of the fact that at least they're trying to deliver us quality besides, despite themselves. Opinion?
I'm seeing some people talk about the Tuscans, and I'll look at it this way. I do like seeing this side of the Tuscans, and yes, it does kind of give you that KOTOR vibe where you really got to go into the heart of a Tuscan village and either side with them or, deceive them or betray them. I think my overall thought of the Book of Boba Fett is I went in not expecting much because I don't think Boba Fett is a very special or flattering character to me.
Mm.
Actually, honestly, the prequel stuff kind of ruined Boba Fett for me in Clone Wars because I liked that kind of mysterious, didn't talk much, kind of bounty hunter vibe we got from Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and then when we got more into him, I enjoyed his character less.
That was Tamora
But,
Morrison's recent comment was about like the vote, like how much he talks.
We'll say that again.
Tamora Morrison, the actor that plays Boba Fett, he had commented that like he thinks that Boba Fett's been talking too much. That he should.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. And this whole him being this honorable vigilante type figure. Now, I'll just say this: I walked into the Book of Boba Fett not expecting much, and I'm not impressed, but I don't think it's bad either. I enjoy watching it each week, and I'm curious to find out what's going to happen next. I think the Tusken Raiders, I like what they did with that, kind of the whole, basically Boba Fett and the Dances with Wolves, type thing.
Yeah.
They're with them. I think that's kind of cool because we always look at the Tuskens as these savages and these terrible people, but isn't that also how the U.S. Army and America viewed the Native Americans, of the U.S.? But then those that actually got to be a part of those tribes, those cultures, saw that they weren't savages. So it's all a matter of perspective, and I like seeing that other side of those people. Something else I like about Book of Boba Fett is we're getting more exposure of some of the other species that we've seen in the video games and the movies we never got anything from, like Trandoshans and the Pike and all that other stuff. I think that's really cool. The Weequay, all of those other characters that we haven't really gotten much out of, and now we're getting that exposure in Boba Fett. So they're taking the Marvel vibe where they're kind of, like you said, connecting storylines and kind of putting it together for us, and that's the part I enjoy most. The Boba stuff, I don't particularly care for. It's everything around Boba that I enjoy watching.
I'm liking how the Pikes are the big bad. It's kind of tying into that last season of Clone Wars, where the Pikes were really, really integral in that. And then if I'm not mistaken, they showed up in Rebels a lot. And
in Solo, the movie Solo, them in that too.
It's sort of like you have two different flavors of Star Wars. You have the rebellion fighting the Empire and the Jedis and the Sith, but then you have all the underlying stuff. I'm kind of digging the underlying under the surface. Like let's seeing what Tuscan culture is like. That's a really nice touch. That's a nice gift to the Star Wars fans to just like kind of flesh out some of these races and like just the undercurrents of the Star Wars universe, everything that's going on. Well, all it kind of I don't know if anybody out there is a Buffy fan or if anybody watched Buffy, but I was I'm an old school Buffy fan. I'm man enough to admit it. I was hardcore Buffy for many years. There's an episode of Buffy where it's sort of like you have Buffy and the gang, the Scooby Gang, and they were taking on the big bad, whatever the big bad was that week. And Xander, who's basically like the only character without any power, was off dealing with like his own personal demons and some gang and like a bully and blah 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 blah. And the whole episode was like him, trying to like deal with his problems while the whole world's coming to an end. And they would only show scenes of like Buffy and Angel. They'd be talking about, what are we going to do? It's the most serious thing that's ever happened. Oh, it's just like, but it was all secondary. It's just kind of like, it was like the Empire fighting the rebels, but in the meantime, like, you got like two people like arguing about a spice trade and like, and then whatever the goings on there, because these universes should be like an onion. They should be layered. They should have like all kinds of different layers of activities going on. Like, like this last episode of Mando, you got like Mando down there. He's in a Halo ring. Did anybody catch the fact that they were in a Halo ring?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I was like, this looks like Halo.
Yeah. And and all that stuff like going on, like with the Mandalorians. I mean, it's just kind of like it's so subtle, but like the way that the what's the official name of the character? The female, the armor, the I don't know if she has like
I don't know.
But the way she was talking about the lore and everything, it was very much like she was spelling out something that was so deep and so much more important. Everything she was talking about just made all of the other Star Wars lore seem a little bit small. It's just, I don't know if that's just the actor's talent and voice and the writing. It was just kind of like, and she's talking about the dark saber and the purge and the history of the Mandalorian and what happened to Bo-Katan and everything. I was just sitting there going like, you could make like a whole series of movies just about the Mandalorians and everybody will completely like be all in, if that's the route that they're planning on going at some point. I definitely would be interested in seeing what they come up with,
I like the cinematography and the effects. Like that, you can tell they're really putting effort into these shows. It's not coming off as low budget at all. But it's Disney, so nothing's ever low budget for them. But I do find it interesting that the last episode that we saw didn't. I'm all in favor of having break or rest episodes where the main character is not seen. I'm okay with that. But it didn't feel like Book of Boba Fett. It felt like we were starting a season 3 of The Mandalorian. And it was a great episode. It wasn't a great Book of Boba Fett episode. It was a good episode. It was a great episode on the Book of Boba Fett because it wasn't a Boba Fett episode.
And that's the general consensus. That's the general consensus. But then you got to look at the quality of what you. I mean,
but the thing is, watching that episode though, I was so like focused and interested in what was going on. But I don't feel that same way when I'm watching the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the Mandalorian, and I think Din Djarin's character is really awesome, and I don't know, it was great. But I think what they should have done is not focus so much on just him. They should have interweaved them better, or did a small side story of him and go back to what Boba Fett's doing, and then connect them at the end. But to get an entire episode of just Mando, and then tie in Boba at the very end, I just. Great episode, but it wasn't the Book of Boba Fett.
They've been making strange choices throughout like the entire run of all the Star Wars series, and it's just kind of like one could almost expect them to do exactly what they did, just because like I don't think they're really doing what they're doing to appeal necessarily to the.
I was gonna say I don't know what the ratings are for Boba Fett, but do you think they did that to draw more people in and get them to buy into Boba more.
No, I think they kind of anticipated maybe some inherent weaknesses of the story. They kind of like maybe were like thinking, at this point we need to tie in. We need to tie in. I mean, they were gonna. Everyone knew at the end of episode 4 when you heard the Mando music that Din Djarin was going to be in there. They needed to figure out a way
by
to
the
tie
way,
in.
they incorporated Boba's music in Mando stuff towards the end, which I thought was really brilliant too.
I just think that what they're establishing is, I think they're establishing kind of like a new Mandalorian hierarchy. And they're gonna like kind of fuse Boba Fett and Din Djarin, into kind of like what could potentially be the new leadership hierarchy of a Mandalorian resurgence.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they kind of figured that they needed to go large, and they knew that everyone was gonna like piss their pants once. Like, it's kind of like when you first saw Ahsoka, and Ahsoka showed up, and you just thinking, damn, right off the bat, and that's the way they did this. They went large, and they knew that there was going to be critics. They knew that the Star Wars theories of the Star Wars universe and various sundry channels, which have valid critiques. I think that they were basically just going to come along and deliver whatever product they wanted, and they knew that in the end people would be happy. Let's see what happens in the next episode, because the next episode is the make it or
that's
break
going to be the I agree with you.
If they do the same thing again, then we'll have a problem, because they really need to get back to Tatooine. They're on Tatooine.
They're gonna have to tie it in somehow. I mean, they're gonna have to connect them somehow.
I think Mando's going to be completely gone from the next episode, and you won't see him until episode 7 when he shows up after he's done whatever he needed to do with Grogu. Then we'll see that in season 3 of Mandalorian, because that's the only way they can do it without getting like lambasted.
Now, since they're doing flashbacks, what I would like to see them do is flashback to how Boba Fett brought himself to get to Mando, to get his armor and stuff. That's a flashback that I would like to see happen. Now, you mentioned Grogu. So he had his spear melted down to make something for Grogu. And of course, the big question is, what do you think that he had made? I think he had chainmail made.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be what. It was such a small little package.
I know.
Unless those chainmail bits were like really tiny. And that's what I'm thinking is like really, really tiny chainmail. And I was joking with someone at
but that
work.
Whole spear though would do just that little tiny. I mean,
she
must have kept some for herself.
Grogu should have like full Mandalorian armor with chainmail underneath it, like
with extra ear.
Yeah, Frodo and his mithril. Yeah, screw that. Screw your mithril. We're talking of like a force using like Jedi, creature like Beskar armor and a lightsaber. And a
lightsaber, yeah. Going with MP here, I just don't think like I find myself when I'm watching Book of Boba Fett, I'm doing other things like on my phone and stuff, as I'm watching. But this last episode with the Mando, like I wasn't doing anything else but focused on watching the episode. And a friend of mine brought up a good point, and he said that he feels that the way Mando is portrayed and how he does things is how he expected Boba Fett to be after we saw the original trilogy. And that's an interesting point, because I do feel like Boba Fett, because Din Djarin, he's very like, he's humble, he doesn't say much, he's a badass, and that's it. That's kind of what I viewed Boba to be when you saw him in Empire Strikes Back.
But Boba's a lot older now, and he's been through a lot more shit. And that stuff that he went through with the Tuskens there, I think it softened him a little bit. And I think he needs like a Din Djarin.
Probably, yeah.
But
think of the timeline though. When we last saw Boba Fett, it was Return of the Jedi, and the Book of Boba Fett picks up with him finishing, the end of Return of the Jedi in that Sarlacc pit. So
But you don't get to see how old
his
Boba
character
Fett
his character
was.
shouldn't have changed that much. And that's the other big thing is Boba Fett really wasn't that old, but whatever.
At what point during Return of the Jedi did Boba Fett take off his armor so you could see how old he was?
Yeah, but think about the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And Bo-Katan was old. Boba was a baby, was a child during the Clone Wars. Bo-Katan was an adult during that. And then we get into Mando, and you see Boba Fett now, and Bo-Katan looks like she's in her 40s, and Boba Fett's in his 60s. It just doesn't add up. And everyone was saying that, Tamora, though he was Boba Fett, his character the actor is too old to be portraying Boba Fett.
Yeah, it's a good thing it's all just fiction, right?
Right.
It's just, I mean,
maybe the cloning process and all that stuff. He wasn't an exact match of Jango, and then maybe he aged, too quickly.
Yeah, maybe the cloning process got screwed up a little bit, and he aged a little bit.
Yeah.
But
regardless, the end of when you see him in Return of the Jedi, he still didn't speak much. Actually, I don't think he had any lines at all in Return of the Jedi. He was a very silent guy. You thought he was going to be this badass, even though he got his butt whipped pretty quickly by an accident. And then now he's this honorable somebody who's, trying to rule with respect and all this other stuff and yada yada. But I do feel you though when you say that, yeah, his experience with the Tuscans had probably changed his perspective on things and adjusted how he does things now, but maybe not quite that much.
It's kind of fun when you were mentioning Dances with Wolves. You can also talk about the Last Samurai. Basically the same story.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe even more so, actually.
Yeah,
than Dances with Wolves.
As far as like learning because in the Last Samurai, you have a scene where Tom Cruise's character is learning how to fight with Bokuto. Yeah, it's like I'm doing what you give me another chance. Yeah, there's actually a lot of similarities there. I mean, it's kind of a trope that you can take and kind of incorporate into a story when you have to kind of like create some kind of narrative that doesn't include a montage necessarily, But let's move on to the ship. His Mando's new ship there.
Oh, the Naboo starfighter.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting that. I was not expecting that. I'll be honest. I thought it was going to be some type of larger freighter or something that looked really cool, but I wasn't expecting that. But I do like how they took out the droid housing area. So obviously we know that that's going to be Grogu's little spot to sit when he goes to go pick him up.
That him being a bounty hunter. I mean, obviously he's not going to have his equipment for carbon.
Correct. How is that going to utilize that with his?
He doesn't have any of that shit. It got blown up. So, unless he has the money to replace it, maybe that's something that'll be addressed with his little, maybe Boba Fett will gift the Mandalorian with something. I don't know. But anyway, that would be like,
I like the Razor Crest. That was a cool ship.
It was a cool ship, but it done got blown up. you can like throw a bounty into that little chamber if it was modified to just make sure that it was sort of a.
But his rifle and it wouldn't even
other than
that thing. I mean, it's not designed to be hauling or transporting anything. It's designed to go out and fight and land, and then you get your shit when you're on the ground.
All I know is that he's gone from having an RV to having like a
a scooter, a motorcycle.
Yeah. But I do like the end results of what the ship did look nice. It looked really, really nice.
Are you familiar with Jedi Fallen Order? Did you catch the little droid that was in there?
Yeah, I was wondering what the hell was going on with that thing because it was like,
When I first saw it, I thought, what else are you going to show us?
Yeah, seriously. I mean, like, is Cal Kestis going to show up all of a sudden? It's just like, how are they going to tie that in? Like, unless that was just sort of like another, another variation from the series.
Yeah, just like the pit droids and everything else, it's not the only. Just like the HK unit, HK-47. There's more of those type of. I mean, if it's a droid, it's been manufactured more than once. So
it may have been just more of a thing to like get people talking, because if you get people talking about like the potential for
it's good for
some kind of connection, then people are going to be more inclined to watch, because they just don't know what's going to happen next time. And the thing is, like, you've got with the Obi-Wan series coming up, that's going to be on Tatooine too. So who's to say that they're not going to tie in? I can't remember that woman with all the droids. I can't remember her name, but who says that she's not going to be interacting with Obi-Wan at some point, and then maybe at some point Cal Kestis will show up in that show, and that's how they tie everything in together. I mean,
that would be interesting, because you don't really see much video game characters being tied into the live action stuff. So that would be cool if they did incorporate that.
Cal Kestis is such a strong character for them not to consider a live action.
And it extends the universe and gives them more content too.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely being as creative as possible, just to keep the train rolling. I mean, who's to say that maybe Disney might not decide to do like a Cal Kestis series at some point? I mean,
Well, they already have plans for a Fallen Order too. So
yeah, and they could have had some like they could be connecting Fallen Order 1 to Fallen Order 2 with a series. I mean, let's just say that
and working it more into the timelines that we know as well, because we're learning as they're doing these games, these other shows, that we know the movies, but there's so much more going on during that time, and I like getting that exposure to it. Then connecting is how and why the movies were the way they were.
All this
like Rebels and seeing Mandalorian with Ahsoka there, kind of putting that. Now that Kevin Feige is working in Lucasfilm, I just have greater confidence that we're going to see more cohesion between all the different books and series and video games, just coming together. And I like that concept, because he did an amazing job with Marvel. All those movies are connected in some way, somehow. And now I think they're trying to do the same thing with Star Wars, which I love.
I mean, the thing is like when you create it, like with Marvel, if you watch any Marvel show, the little flip thing at the beginning, and they show you everything that they've done.
Little scenes and stuff. Yeah, the comic book reel.
Most of us have a visceral reaction to that. Like when I see that, I'm just kind of like, oh man, that's just like, it's kind of like when I was a little kid and they'd have the Disney logo. Like, when my parents would let me stay up and watch something
with the Magic Kingdom castle, and then the thing shoots over. Yeah.
It has like, it really just hits you in the feels. And every time I see that, whereas like with the Star Wars, and not as much, but I think, it doesn't mean that
I like what they're doing now when they show all the different helmets and stuff.
I like it, but it's not. It doesn't get quite as hard as, because like Marvel is.
But it's getting there though.
It's getting there, definitely. I would recommend that they go that route. Like, just have like a montage of all the shit that they just haven't had enough shows and movies. I mean, they've even like by the standard of movies, when you consider Star Wars movies, if you consider the 9 movies, and then like Rogue One and Han Solo, and whatever else there might be, and like compared to the sheer volume of Marvel movies, and that was even before they started to like get into that whole like Thanos kind of timeline where they really start connecting everything together. But the thing is, it's like we've seen so many in Marvel. We've seen so many characters like come and go. Like
Yeah.
you get like when you think about like if you watched Hawkeye, every time they mentioned Natasha, you know, you got like your heart hurt a little bit, just knowing that you're not going to see you're not going to see that character again. And I often think
Well, that's
about
what
like
we thought, and then she got
Catherine.
a movie. So I mean, I don't think we can write
Yeah,
her
but the
off.
movie was kind of a prequel, or it was kind of like
Yeah.
it fit in there at like a. Now we've got her sister, and I think her sister, what's her
It
name?
was nice to see her, pop up in that because we only got her in the movie, and then I saw like, oh, okay, it's kind of cool that they brought her in there.
When she blipped back in the bathroom there. Again, if no one's seen Hawkeye, I apologize. You should have seen him by now. And at one point, when what's her name? What's that character's name?
Oh,
Anybody
I
left
don't remember.
watching?
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone left watching.
No, there's 5 people watching. Um, she had gone into that bathroom, and I don't know if that was like a scene that happened in Hawkeye, or if that happened in the. I think that
It
actually
was Hawkeye.
happened.
It was
She
Hawkeye.
did disappear. Okay, because
Yeah.
she had gone to try to rescue. Okay, so she had gone to try to rescue the woman that she thought was another Black Widow. Turns out that she was like living there on her own accord. She wasn't really being held prisoner or anything. And then she went to a bathroom and she blipped, and then she came back 5 years later in the same bathroom. Now, I'm just glad that there was no one else in the bathroom at the time using the sink, because what would have happened? Would she have like blipped at the same time, and they would have like done fusion, or they would have just exploded, or
Oh,
those these are the things I think about. Well,
yes. Or
times
she blipped back at the sink, and someone was actually using the toilet at that time.
yeah,
When she blipped
times
back.
half of the population. At some point, someone like poofed back into existence, only to like have some there at the same time, and they just exploded. They don't talk about that. But and they are including the blip stuff that's become a really predominant, and it affects the economy, the social political ramifications of the world, the psychology of so many people in the Marvel universe. It's such a, if you imagine it, and I think this is a discussion we had in a previous live stream, it's such a profound occurrence that you have to play it up in the series. And I think Star Wars is trying to kind of establish similar events that have that kind of same
It's very clear that they're kind of going after the same model that Marvel did so successfully well, and I like it. I mean, this is what this is the second Star Wars live action series. The first was Mando, and now we have Book of Boba Fett. But we know we've got Ahsoka and Obi-Wan coming. I think it's a very good thing, because I think what they're trying to do is, let's face it, the sequels were not the success that they were hoping. I'll just kindly put it that way. And so I think what they're trying to do is reel the base back in, so that way when they're ready to do another series of movies, that people don't write it off and actually go out to see them. And I think they're really picking up the pieces with these series. Book of Boba Fett isn't great in my opinion, but they're not doing anything wrong either. It's still a decent show, and I enjoy watching it. And everyone's really pumped and excited for Obi-Wan. I think of all of these series, that and Ahsoka are the biggest ones that people are looking forward to. So I have a positive hope and outlook for the future of Star Wars now with these new series coming out.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It seems like lessons have been learned. You almost have to look back at the sequels and think, if it wasn't for that, probably what we'd be getting now for content would be quite as good, because the community came back at them with such rancor that I think
Plus,
they
they
realize that
know why they're doing this. They're going to keep making money because if they introduce a new weapon or something, or a new lightsaber, or something like that in these series, these installers and these sabersmiths are going to be right out there designing something. Same thing with the font makers. Anytime we like Visions, we got a new sound font. Those font makers are out there putting out new content for us. And I think Disney will eventually start, as they release stuff, they're going to have new Black Series, hilts and things like that coming too. So I think it's all very good for the future Star Wars, because I just felt like we were so let down during this the sequel stuff, and they're really picking up the pieces. And as a diehard Star Wars fan, I'm still going to stay on board because, one, I love Star Wars, and two, I can tell that they're making a good effort to give us better content.
I think they got basically they learned from their mistakes.
Ciao, MP.
You can't have a series based on a Mary Sue. You can't just like regurgitate the original, like A New Hope, and just like everything they did. I mean, they really could have. They could have really explored some of those characters and fleshed them out and made them far more interesting.
Well, think about it. They just made up Din Djarin, and we fell in love with that character so quickly from the very first episode. And I think they've shown that they can introduce new characters and people will embrace them. We don't need to focus on Boba Fett or these other characters anymore. I think we can take some time to introduce new characters and let us fall in love with them because they present them so well, or give us a solid backstory of a beloved character like Obi-Wan or Ahsoka.
But like, think about it. Before Mando even came out, when you heard that Pedro Pascal was going to be playing the Mandalorian, you got to admit that was very shrewd casting. I mean, I forget the name of his character on Game of Thrones. I don't know if you've watched Game of Thrones, but his character was
not a GOT guy.
His character in Game of Thrones, right up until his last scene with the mountain. Everybody remember that? Whatever his character's name. He I won't get into that, but the thing is like, you had a guy who was interesting, and had come from like another hit series, and then you think, wow, he's going to be playing this character, but he's going to be playing a Mandalorian, and you're never going to see his face. So they had to pick wisely. They had to get someone that could emote through a mask, and
he does a damn good job of it too.
Yeah, he does. When he showed up,
I mean, how can you be so fascinated with the character and get all the feels and emotion and never see the guy's face? That's good acting.
And the few times that he does show his face, and the fact that he got excommunicated basically for that whole episode where he had to take off his helmet around the stormtroopers and everything. I mean, because he was being.
But they didn't see him though. Only the droid did, which I was surprised in this last episode of.
No, he was having a conversation with the Imperial officer. And they were in that room. And they were surrounded by Imperial officer. He's staying there. He was sitting there having a conversation.
That's right. Yeah, and the other guy shot. Yeah, okay, I remember now.
It wasn't when he took his mask off in front of Grogu or Fennec.
It was the second season, not the first. The first season was the droid. The second season was the off. Yeah.
They were all friendly. They were all comrades. Luke was not an enemy. I don't think he considered anybody an enemy, but those Imperial officers were definitely an enemy. But there was mitigating circumstances. It showed remarkable bravery and uncanny, intuitiveness for him to do what he did.
But he did that for the sake of the mission. For him, it was about the mission, and he knew if he didn't take that off, the mission would not have been a success.
His priority was rescuing Grogu. This is the shit he had to do in order to rescue his little buddy, because his attachment to Grogu is so profound. I think it's one of the most profound Okay. I think it's one of the most profound
He was reaching out to
connections
you.
between two characters in fiction right now. Is that what he was doing? He was touching the
Yeah,
screen.
he was reaching out to you.
I'm not losing. Talk about a beloved character. Like, you know, hey, let's create a character that everyone's gonna just lose their shit over.
Well, that was smart. Just make him really cute, and then that'll get people coming.
Who
People that
but,
haven't
like,
even
what's he
seen
gonna
the
look
show
like?
know Baby Yoda, or as they call him, Baby Yoda. But of course, we know it's Grogu.
Yeah. The thing is like, as I have, you know, my love for Yoda as a character. I mean, he's the Dalai Lama. He's the you know, he's the guy. He is the Jedi, and you know, and I think everyone uniformly loves that character. And then, you know, just have someone come along, you know, they're like sitting there at their meeting, like, tell you what, we'll have how about we just make a Baby Yoda? Everybody's just like, dude,
have you seen that YouTube video where one of the guys was playing guitar and they had Baby Yoda like moving and dancing to the guitar? Like it was like on the set. Yeah, it was hilarious. You haven't seen that video?
You'll send it to me. You'll send it to me.
I will send it. I will send it to you. It's cute. and funnily enough, it actually got like 1,000 dislikes or something like that. But it was like 41,000 likes or something stupid. Yeah. But yeah, it's really cute. I'll send it to you.
I don't know why people have like such an ease to dislike things, you know, and I didn't like it when YouTube got rid of the you know, showing us the number for the dislikes. Now when I just look at my analytics and I see like, oh yeah, everyone really hated that, you know, but I've got 800 views. I just don't do nearly enough of those shorts.
I'll tell you what, I just sent you the link to the YouTube video. Maybe we can watch it and you can share it on the whole screen and we can all see it together.
I have no idea how to do that.
Oh, technology.
I am not good with Earth technology. It's just like,
you're not tech savvy?
I am. Have you watched my videos? I am definitely.
Hey, your videos are you're like the editing you're doing now is good.
It's because like it was snowing.
Think about it,
like,
Scott. Remember, you used to do unboxings in the driver's seat of your Honda. Okay, think about how far you've come. Your editing is pretty good now. Like you're like.
If anybody's like,
I remember when I first saw your videos, I was like, "What's with this guy?" He's like opening sabers in his car. Like what the fuck is this? But of course, we eventually all fell in love with that because no one else was doing that. You know.
I just, you know, the thing is
it just shows your excitement. You pick up your saber and you can't wait to get home. You just have to open it in your car.
I watch your unboxing videos. I watch most of your videos, and I'm just thinking like, oh my god, the amount of just care and work, and it's just like I see your videos and I think, that's hard work. So I go, okay, well, that's why I got you as a friend.
It's hard thought, but when I actually start, and I actually enjoy editing now. Like when I start editing, it's the hardest part is coming up with the idea. Once I have the idea in my head, then it just kind of goes. And the editing it's kind of fun to see it come to life. And as I edit, I get more ideas and I start incorporating clips and things. But like the Elegant Weapons saber intro, like that was fun, you know, doing that.
Yeah.
It took several takes, but the editing was
that I was going to do it for didn't show up, but mine was going to be completely different. You know, this is going to be like not nearly as advanced as yours. I think part of my problem is like, you know, I'm constantly making things at my job. My job is producing things, and when I come home, a lot of times I just don't have the energy to get too creative. Like, you know, I want to make a video and I want to try to make it like interesting, but it's just sort of like at the same time I have sort of like, you know, fuck it. It's just like, you know,
I discovered my secret, and for me, I found when I sit down to record a video, I try to record like 2 or 3, and then I release my content once a week. Although this last time I think I did 2 in a week, which I normally wasn't doing. But I find that when I already have all my equipment and everything set up and in position, it's easier for me to just start knocking out like 2 or 3 reviews or an unboxing and then do the review right away. So when I sit down to edit, I just knock it all out at once. So then I can basically take like the next 3 weeks off and then just post the video when I'm ready. And that's why I sent you that message saying like, oh, should I, make my Elegant Weapons go live? No, sorry, my first harvest video go live or not? Because that was already done, but I was sitting on it for a couple of days. And I find that it's less stressful for me because when I'm in record mode, I have like 2 or 3 videos and then I just release them once a week. That way the viewers, my subscribers still have steady content, but I'm not feeling stressed like I have to do something every week.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that like I've been suffering from is just due to overwork and just being exhausted all the time. And my just as far as I'm not releasing nearly the volume that I was. And that was the one saving grace that I had going for me was that was what kept my viewer hours up. And like now I'm not making any money. Like I was making some money. But now, that's kind of gone on the wayside. And I really feel like a lot of people have lost interest in my channel. I don't know if it's strictly because of what I've been like, like I'm not getting all the crazy sabers. I just get like a little.
Well, I noticed that it looked like you lost 10 subscribers. I remember you were like 1,680, and then I checked, it was like 1,670.
I have the subscribers. I keep getting subscribers. It's the viewing hours that I'm losing. Like, I don't understand it. Like, I'll look and I'll be like, why did I pick up like, X number of, I'm not losing anybody. It's just like people aren't watching.
I think the season is kind of going down a bit, or they just don't have interest in us, or YouTube is just not putting our content out there for others to see without searching for it.
I think we've fallen
because my views have been down too. Like I used to easily get over 1,000 views on my videos, and now I'm averaging 200 to 300 views per video, which isn't much. And so now when I get paid from YouTube, it's every 2 to 3 months I'll get enough for them to release a check, not enough for every month.
Yeah, that's what happens to me. A lot of it has a lot to do, I think, with I think the saber community has been under so much stress from
it's saturated.
Well, it's saturated, but it's also under stress from like economic concerns, the pandemic.
Well, I was gonna say when we kind of really started to gain steam and get popular or bigger, that was when the pandemic was in full force. There was more lockdowns, things like that. So people didn't really have much else to do. But now that everything's kind of open and life is kind of getting back to its regular grind, I think people just have other interests that they're able to do now rather than focus on lightsaber videos or even having lightsaber. Plus, the bulk of our viewers are the ones that are getting started on the lightsaber. But once they finally get one, they don't really feel the need to watch our stuff anymore. The ones that are still watching our stuff regularly are guys like Ike and, Blues Brother, Commander Dale, and MP, because they have a love of the activity, and they have several sabers and they're really into that.
Yeah,
the diehard fans, they're not going anywhere. But it's the ones that just get their saber. Once they have a saber, they don't have a need for ours anymore because they're done.
I find myself like, I look and see who's producing like what videos, but I find myself watching a lot less saber related videos. Like, I usually watch your video. I didn't watch your video on the install, but that's mostly because I'm not an install guy, so there's really not much for me there other than.
And that's why I do the timestamps, so that way you can skip through to what works for you. So at the end of the install, there's a timestamp that shows that it's finished, and I power it on and do the review of the first harvest soundboard. So that way you don't feel like, oh, this is a 40-minute video, I don't want to skip through. Just click on the timestamp and it jumps you to what you want to see.
But other than that, it's just kind of like, I look through the videos and I see like, look, another person got themselves a ray, that ray a lot of people getting like the same sabers over and over again. Like after you've seen this 18th person get like an SK or a flagship, and you get to the point where it's just like, yeah, okay. I just think a lot of the sabers have gotten, I don't know, maybe like less interesting, and people aren't releasing videos for the things that you really want to see. Like, I haven't seen too much for, like, well, I haven't really looked, so I don't know, but like the LGT Ezra, but then again, like, why would I watch the video for something I'm never going to be able to afford? And I don't know. I just, like, a lot of times I'll start watching a video.
Typically, if you want to see a video, something that you might actually consider purchasing, but if it's kind of out of your realm, then for you, it's like watching somebody else drive a Mercedes when you're not going to get one. There's no enjoyment in that. And when you look at some of the LGT stuff, it's like, well, someone else just, like, the mystery boxes aren't interesting to me anymore, because if you got a mystery box from an LGT company, you're probably going to get one of the crap hells that nobody cares about. If you're going to show something that's interesting, okay, maybe like that Knight, that new saber that Dark Wolf releases. I'll be staying tuned for whoever unboxes that and shows that, because I'm curious what that saber is like in the hand and outside of a digital picture. But there's not much really out there to hold our interest. At least
I wish more people had done like Saberforge mystery box unboxing videos.
Me too. Because I'm curious what Saberforge is really kicking out to us. Did we just get a lump of coal, or were sacks of coal sent out to everybody?
It's strange times. I think we're kind of like, the community sort of ebbs and flows, and I think we're kind of, it's been a bit of a lull. I think there's just generally a malaise kind of right now. Just, I mean, what can you do? This is really nothing.
Honestly, and that's my big reason why I try to make my videos interesting and different, because I don't want people to be bored watching my content, or they say, oh, this is just another LGT saber, and they don't care. So I try to make it fun or interesting in some way, so that way they can enjoy watching the video, even if the saber itself isn't all that interesting. So I try to balance the two, but also give you some fun, but also cover what you came there for, which is a lightsaber.
Yeah. And on that bombshell, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, it's just before 10, so that'd be a good time for me to close out here.
And we have one stalwart who's kind of held on, and our viewers have been kind of like, I can smell dinner.
Yeah. Well, it's Sunday afternoon, so people have other things to do with their weekend.
We got to hang out for a little bit and have some light. I'm feeling good. There's not really a whole lot else to talk about. Actually, my plan is I've been playing Far Cry. I can't remember the name of it. It's not like a 1, 2, 3, or 5 or 6. It's a new. I can't remember what it's called anyway. I've been playing Far Cry. Kind of like gotta go play some of that. Not too much that I haven't really been watching a whole lot on my streaming services. It's kind of like this. It's been like a weird time. I'm trying to find something to pick my curiosity. Well, I have been watching Peacemaker, by the way. If you haven't, I don't know if you know anything about Peacemaker.
I don't know. What is this?
It's
a Netflix show or something, or
it's a DC thing. It's on HBO Max. He's played by John Cena. He was a character from the Suicide Squad movie, and the TV series is. I'm absolutely enthralled with it. It's so well done, and good timing with Jedi. We're almost done.
Things are going well.
So what is this?
Yeah, hello, wie geht's denn so? Yeah. Yeah, things are going well. We're actually getting ready to wrap it up here.
Yeah, anyway, so yeah, Peacemaker is I would put it up, I put it on the same pedestal as any of the Marvel series. That's how much I enjoy it. It's directed by well, not every episode, but it's like produced, maybe written mostly by James Gunn, and he's just been killing it. I don't know if you watched the last Suicide Squad movie, not the original one, but the second one.
I haven't seen the last one. No.
Excellent movie, and I'm jamming on that. So that's my shtick, but only one episode a week, and then after that, it's kind of like Mando or Book of Boba Fett. Freudian slip.
Yeah.
Once the only thing I can think of is like what's it? Very East Idada. With I'm kind of butchering that, but yeah.
But the next time we'll plan better and really get an announcement out there and have another good live stream. Hopefully, actually, I did get my invoice from Saberforge, so I should get ready to ship off my Redeemer for upgrade, and then maybe our next live stream we can talk about our upgrades and our views on the first harvest.
I do have confirmation. They do have my Redeemer. They are. I don't know where they are with it. I don't know if they fixed my Oracle. I got shit coming from Revan Sabers, but I was thinking maybe at some point, we could try like another one of our gimmicks and see if we can invest in something that we're both interested in and maybe do like a dual unboxing that hopefully would not be as catastrophic and depressing as the last one was. That
was the last one, yeah. But those are fun. I like unboxing sabers together. I think that's really cool.
I just don't like.
But if you get, because I know, I'm assuming you're going to get your first harvest redeemer. Whoops. Apparently my camera just. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
Okay, I'll try to get the camera back. But you'll probably get your redeemer before I get mine back. But at least I have that first harvest install that I did. So when you get yours back, we can link up again, and we can do a first harvest video. At least I'll have one that I can swing around and talk about. Yeah, and then you can get your opinions too.
I think that would work lovely. I could unbox mine during the thing, and I could unbox it previously, and we'll work something out. I mean, whatever. I'm just I don't know. I haven't heard a damn thing from Saberforge as far as progress, but I imagine it's probably getting close to 0 hour, and within like a week or two, I'll start seeing some results, and I'm hoping that Revan Sabers will. Oop. Well, I guess something happened to Grey Paladin and his technology failed us. So I think that's going to wrap up this video, considering the fact that he's gone now. And I would like to thank everyone that showed up. It's nice seeing y'all. I'm sorry if I wasn't as vigilant with the comments. I'm not very good with them. So I will bid everyone an adieu. Have yourself a wonderful week. May the force be with you, and we'll catch you in the next live stream. All right. Take care. Oh well, I'm about to sign off. Elvis. I lost Emery, and we were about to call it quits for various reasons. But so thanks for showing up. I love you guys. Take care now. Bye.